What is up, Washington football team fans? Welcome back to another episode of the BnG podcast, episode 38. We're going to call this episode Connect 4. You know why we're calling it Connect 4? Because our Washington football team just won their fourth game in a row. That's right, they won their fourth game in a row, coming after a 4-game losing streak. So who would have thought we'll be here 6-6 after week 13? A lot of people thought we'll be at 500, but I don't know if they thought it'll be following with a 4-game win streak following a 4-game losing streak. So as I just mentioned, the Washington football team just came off a defeat against the Las Vegas Raiders, where they won the game 17-15. That was the exact same score that they beat the Seattle Seahawks by on Monday night just this past week. So the same score for 2 weeks in a row, and a random score at that. You don't see too many 17-15 games. So we're here giving you a recap as we do for every Washington football team game, but it seems like we're just doing it for every Washington football team win lately, because all we do is win. It seemed like DJ Khaled in 2009. So let me go ahead and give you a recap, because I love the fight from this team. I don't foresee this being too long of an episode because there weren't much fireworks throughout the game. This was a slugfest. This was a grinded out game where two teams, it was a physical game, a lot of running the ball, a lot of downhill running and things like that, and Washington pulled it out. This team is showing that they can beat you any which way. They can beat you slugging it out like they did today, or they can beat you in a shootout like they were doing earlier in the season. So this team, even though they've found their identity as more of a run-first football team, they're finding ways to win any which way, as I said, and I am ecstatic. So like I said, we're going to call this episode Connect 4, and to give you a timestamp as we do for all of our episodes, it's about 12:30 a.m. I guess it's technically Monday morning, but we're going to call this Sunday night, the same night that the Washington football team defeated the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, we're up late pushing out this content to you guys, because you know what? We want BnG to be your number one source for the Washington football team. So let me go ahead and recap this game. An exciting game. So as I mentioned, right now we stand at the 6th seed in the NFC playoffs. So we have some room to spare, and right now we control our own destiny. We're 6-6 with our last 5 games being all divisional games. So if we come out on the winning side with a winning record out of these 5 games, I think that the playoffs are well within reach, guys, and I am so excited. We have meaningful football in December for the second year in a row. That's not something I'm used to as a Washington football fan, being 26. I'm not really used to consecutive successful seasons and things like that. So, hey, shout out to Ron pulling a rabbit out his hat, But let me go ahead and get into this recap. So as you know, we start with the offense and we start with the quarterback for every episode. So Taylor Heinicke, he was 23 for 30 for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That stat line sounds eerily similar to a 2018 Alex Smith performance. And guess what? I'll take it. Like I've told you guys before, I don't necessarily think that Taylor's our franchise quarterback, but the dude is balling and the dude is gaming. The one difference between him and Alex's game is that he's more of a risk taker than Alex. These stat lines may seem similar and things like that, specifically for this game, but Taylor had a lot of near interceptions today. And then the one interception that was actually caught by Oakland, the one interception that he actually had, I don't necessarily think that was his fault, because Cornelius Lucas was getting abused by Max Crosby all game, who's an amazing defensive end. The guys on the other side, they get paid too. So, Max Crosby was a win going into the game against Cornelius Lucas. So, I wasn't shocked too much by that, but the fact that Taylor came back and had a game-winning fourth quarter drive after throwing an interception like that late in the game that you were in control of most of, I'm glad that he didn't get rattled. I'm glad that he showed the poise, and I'm glad that he showed the composure that he did. And I'm loving Taylor. I'm loving what Taylor has shown over these last 4 weeks. I'm loving his development, and I'm loving his progression. I'm loving everything that I've seen from Taylor. Like I told you guys earlier in the season, I think that Taylor is a guy that you can't win with. He's not necessarily a guy that's going to win you games, but he's not necessarily going to lose you those games either. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Taylor Heinicke in these games and things like that. And he's not throwing you out of games, something that we saw earlier in the year against the Bills and things like that. He's not throwing these costly, today Today was a costly interception, but I told you it wasn't his fault. He was high on some throws. Like I told you guys earlier in the season, when Taylor misses, it's almost like he always misses high. And it's shades of, Dwayne Haskins in 2019. By no means am I comparing those two guys, because Taylor Heinicke is a far superior football player and quarterback to Dwayne Haskins, but it just seems like when both those guys miss, it's always high. Taylor had so many near interceptions today, and it seems to be a trend. Taylor Heinicke must lead the league in almost interceptions. Like, he has to lead the league in almost interceptions. And, it's a little bit of luck on our side, Hey, it comes with being a gamer and things like that. You got to have a little bit of luck on your side, and it seems like Taylor does. I believe there were about 3 or 4 dropped interceptions today. Trayvon Moore, the safety for the Las Vegas Raiders, he dropped the interception on our game-winning drive that would have sealed the deal, possibly for a pick 6. Like, it was crazy. But guess what? We won the game. Guess what? We won the game. Guess I can live with only 7 completions. I can live with it. I can live with 2 touchdowns. I can live with it. And I'm loving what Taylor Heinicke said. I don't know if you guys saw my group chat pod episode, my episode 37 on the BnG podcast. If you haven't, go check that out, because I was with my boys rambling about Washington, Rio Robinson. That's my boy. The Tay and Todd podcast, the official fan-sided podcast for the Washington football team. And my guy, Alex Lucas. And I was actually talking about the plan that, I wouldn't mind seeing for the Washington football team regarding the quarterback position. With the way that Taylor's playing right now, I don't mind, he's on the books for next season. Like, he has a contract. He has a contract to be a Washington football team player in 2022. With the way that he's playing right now, I wouldn't mind him starting off the season in 2022 as a potential stopgap, and you drafting a potential franchise quarterback who may not be ready, whether that be a guy like Malik Willis, whether that guy may be a guy like Kenny Pickett, whether that guy may be a guy like Carson Strong. That's the scenario that I'm leaning towards now. And I'm feeling more secure in it, especially if Taylor ends up leading you into a playoff berth. Like, I don't see how you can't give him a job and have it as his job to lose in the 2022 season. Because, like I said, while I don't think that he's a franchise quarterback, he's the perfect guy to groom who a guy that we may think is a franchise quarterback, like a guy like Malik Willis, who may be possible to get later in the first round, with him slipping over the course of the last couple of weeks. With his physical traits and things like that, sitting behind a guy like Taylor, who's been in this offense for 5 to 6 years, couldn't be nothing but positive. Couldn't be nothing but positive vibes all around. So going on to the run game, Antonio Gibson is becoming a workhorse right before our eyes. And he is in full breakout mode. After over 150 yards against the Seattle Seahawks, he had over 120 all-purpose yards today. And he had 28 touches, coming off 36 touches against the Seattle Seahawks. Antonio Gibson is becoming our workhorse. And I think a lot of it is because he's finally getting healthy. I told you guys in training camp that Antonio Gibson just seemed hobbled, and he didn't seem to be giving it all 100% in every rep. And I don't think that was necessarily an effort issue. I just didn't think he was fully healthy. And you saw it earlier in the season. You saw he was running into guys' backs. You saw he was tripping over guys. You saw he was falling and letting little 185 cornerbacks tackle him in the open field and things like that. But the Antonio Gibson that I've seen in the last month, straight beast. The beast that I saw him become in the second half of the season before his injury last year. He had a run today early in the game. I believe it was in the first quarter, and it wasn't nothing a major run. I think it was about a 11 to 12 yard gain when he pushed. It was a stretch play to the left side. Charles Leno made a fantastic run block getting out in space. Shout out to Charles Leno. He's been fantastic for us this season. I don't know if him or DeAndre Carter is our best offseason pickup. I say that almost every week. But them guys seem to ball out every week. I'm loving what I'm seeing. But it was a run play. It was a stretch by Charles Leno. Charles Leno did great coming out in space. Antonio Gibson had to be patient and wait for Big Boy to come out in space. But he pushed his track. He was patient, and then he burst through the line. Oh my God, I love what I saw from him. While the yards per carry wasn't too crazy, I think that's about a 3.6 yard per carry, 23 carries for 88 yards. Hey, he was downhill running all game. He was opening up the play action and things like that. He was a threat. Throughout the entire game. And then you're going to sprinkle on 5 receptions with 23 yards and then a touchdown catch, showing some of his receiver background, because that wasn't an easy catch for a running back. over the shoulder from a sidearm ball from Taylor Heinicke, running out in the flare. It wasn't an easy catch by any means. And he was showing some of that wide receiver background. Over 120 purpose yards. Antonio Gibson is in full-on breakout mode, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up. Wake up, because the time has come. We might have found our running back for the future. We might have found our running back for the next 3 to 4 years, because, running back shelf lives aren't that long. But we might have found our go-to guy, our top 5 fantasy pick next year type guy. We might have found him. And it was looking like that way towards the second half of last year before the turf toe. And, he started out a little slow this season. Like I told you, I think a lot of it was doing with injuries. He had the turf toe, he had shin. A lot of lower body injuries for a running back as well. But he's holding on to the football, and he's becoming a workhorse. But going to the run game, I was kind of shocked to see that Wendell Smallwood just being called up from the practice squad this week. Got more snaps than my guy, Jared Patterson. And, that's my guy. That's family. Shout out to Jared Patterson. If you guys haven't checked out our Bleeding BnG exclusive interview with Jared Patterson. But that was kind of concerning to me, because why? Every time that Jared Patterson has come in, he's given you and gotten an opportunity, he shot. I know last week you sent him in for one play on the 3rd and 1 and expect him to get 1 yard while he's cold. I don't know if that's why. I don't know if he's in the doghouse. I need to figure out what's going on with that, because that's one of the few things that I didn't like from this game, because I love Patterson. He has some juice, and I still think that he's the most natural runner in the room. Antonio Gibson is making a lot of progress, and he's closing that gap on Jared very fast and very, very, very close and very swiftly. But I still think that right now that Jared Patterson is the most natural running back in the room, and I still think that you can find ways to get him the ball 2, 3, 4, 5 times a game, and he'll produce like he's been doing every time he's got the ball. We did severely miss my boy. I'm the president of his fan club. We severely missed my guy, J.D. McKissick, who was out with a concussion injury, that nasty hit that he suffered against the Seattle Seahawks. But they were talking about he was walking through the locker room this week and good spirits and things like that. And I wasn't necessarily surprised to see that he sat out of today's game. But I didn't think that I don't think that he'll be out for an extended amount of time. And I think that he could very well be back next week for Dallas. Oh my God. J.D. McKissick was severely missed in this game, though. Scott Turner couldn't get the screen game going, even though he tried and tried and tried. Scott, I love Scott. Y'all know I'm one of the biggest advocates, the biggest homers for Scott. I've been fighting out a lot of fans in the Washington football team community for Scott Turner. Like that's my guy. Like, I know him personally. But, my God, the screen was not working today, Scott. The screen was not working today. You got to get away from it. I know we use it as extensions from the run game, but we can't do it when we're getting negative yards on screen plays and things like that. We can't. We can't do it when we're not being efficient with our screens. And it seems like we got 1 or 2 screens every series. But like I said, this is a victory Sunday going into a victory Monday, so I'm not going to complain too much. But that's something that we need to look at going into our next game. So going into the passing game, going into some receiving threats in our receivers. Logan Thomas, 3 receptions, 48 yards, one touchdown on one of the sickest catches you're going to see. It looked like he dunked the basketball. Logan is huge. I think we forget that Logan is huge because we still think, quarterback background, he's not that great of a player, he just broke out last year. But Logan is huge. And it looked like he was dunking the ball on that one-handed catch. Taylor just lofted it in the air. Wasn't Taylor's best throw because Logan was wide open. You could have put it on him, but Logan made Taylor look good. And when I saw that play, all I could think about was put sports in the top 10 by far. But with the game and Logan Thomas doesn't come all good news. A couple of hours ago, Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport actually mentioned that Logan actually tore his ACL on that low, dirty hit by Yannick Ngakoue. Who is from the DMV. Like, bro, what's up with you? Like, what is up with you, Yannick Ngakoue? Like, let's talk about it. Are you mad that you can't become a Washington football team member? Because that was a dirty hit that I hope you get fined for. And I usually don't say that because I want guys to keep every penny in their pocket. But I hope we hit him over the head. Don't let me catch Yannick Ngakoue in the DMV. Please don't. Please don't, because that was a nasty hit. You're going against a tight end and you taking out his legs. Be a man, bro. Be a man, bro. He saw that 6'6", 260-pound Logan Thomas frame and he chickened out. That's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. And I'm over here praising Heinicke Ngakoue before the game. Oh, he's the best pass rusher to come out this hot at the DMV. You know, mainly trolling Chase Young, you know. How we do over at Bleeding BnG, because we hold everybody accountable over here. And then you go ahead and do some dirty stuff like that. Like, bro, what is up with you? What is up with you? All praise to Logan, man, because that sucks. It was a full ACL tear, and they suspect some MCL damage as well. So that's almost guaranteed to be lingering on into next season. I'm glad he got paid before the season, it's just a lot that comes with this Logan Thomas injury, because you can tell that Scott Turner is more comfortable as a play caller when Logan Thomas is in. The offense functions well. The third down conversions, the red zone rate is better, exponentially better with Logan in there. And Logan has just become a player, man. He's smart. He finds a way to sit in zones. If you guys haven't noticed, and you see it really if you watch all 22 or NFL Game Pass and things like that, the Washington football team has Logan Thomas run a bunch of option routes. And that's hard to cover, where, you know, the route runner can actually dictate what route he's running. And the reason I believe they have him do that is because he's so smart with that quarterback background. He knows how to sit in the zone. He can read coverages instantaneously. He knows when to sit in the zone and drop down, drop his butt, make a catch, box out defenders and things like that. So that's something that we're going to severely miss in our offense. And like I said, all prayers out to Logan Thomas. I'm trying to get monetized on YouTube, so I'm not going to drop any cuss words. But every curse word in the book goes to you, Heinicke Ngakoue, and you better not let me catch you in the DMV, my boy. John Bates. Hey, I just mentioned Antonio Gibson being in full breakout mode. John Bates is in baby breakout mode. 3 receptions for 42 yards, and he's the best. He's one of the best run blockers on the team. Offensive lineman, tight end, whoever you want to call it. I love John Bates in the run game. Like I've mentioned before, there's not a coincidence that we found our identity, we became a running football team, and we became effective and efficient running the ball once John Bates was implemented into the lineup. He's a dog. He has real juice and real skill as a blocker. He moves guys in the run game. And he's showing real hands as a pass catcher. He did have one bad drop today, but I'm loving what I'm seeing from John Bates. I'm loving his him and Taylor Heinicke seem to have really good rapport in the off-script play. Go back to the 4th down conversion in Carolina. He had a similar conversion on 3rd down today on the biggest drive of the game. Like, I'm loving what I'm seeing from John Bates. That's a steal of a draft pick in the 5th round, and I expect him to be a impact contributor over the course of the next 6 games, especially with Logan Thomas coming out of being out for the season. Adam Humphries, 4 receptions, 38 yards. Is it me, or is it like almost all of Adam Humphries' catches come in the clutch time? Adam Humphries can't have more than 35 catches on the year, and I guarantee you 32 of those have come with less than 5 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. This guy is so clutch, and it's like I'm just gonna go to sleep for the first 3 quarters. Wake me up when it's my time. But this is the epitome of a guy that knows his role. He's the oldest guy in the room. And you know, he was brought in initially because he had that relationship with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I believe that Ryan Fitzpatrick had a lot of influence in bringing a guy like Adam Humphries in. But he's building a rapport with Taylor Heinicke, especially in the 2-minute drill, especially when we go hurry up and things like that. He's giving you clutch, efficient receptions. And there's nothing more that you can ask from a number 4 receiver. I'm so ecstatic. Like I told you, we can beat you any which way now. Terry McLaurin had 3 receptions for 22 yards, getting clamped, and we still came out and got the victory. I told you this was a victory Sunday, and I'm not going to be too cheerful. I mean, not too down. I'm going to be cheerful, good positive vibes throughout. But that was another thing that I didn't necessarily like about the game, and one of the few things, because I love this game. I love how we're playing right now. But when the offense bogs down, like it did in the second half, like it did when the Raiders finally took the lead after, you were winning throughout the entire game, you have to find a way to get your best offensive player the football. Terry McLaurin was getting clamped up. And it wasn't always bracket coverage. The face-on was doing a great job on Terry McLaurin. He was getting a lot of hands on him at the line of scrimmage and things like that. And it was interrupting a lot of Terry's routes. I know that Terry said he was working with releases over this offseason with Doug Baldwin, and we see him over the course of this season, but he had a rough outing today. But this is my thing. You still have to find a way to get him the ball, whether that be a screen pass where he's shown a tremendous ability to run after the catch, whether it be a reverse where he uses that 4.35 speed, whether it be a hitch route, something. You still have to find a way to give your best offensive player the ball when the offense bogs down as it did before our fourth quarter game-winning drive. Like, you got to find a way. You got to find a way. You have to find a way. And you can still, just keeping it with the receivers, you can tell that Curtis Samuel isn't all the way there yet. He had 2 carries for -1 yard, and I think he had 1 reception for very little yards, if any at all. But you can tell he's still working his way back. He's still a threat on the field. You can see a little bit of juice when he does have the ball in his hands. But you can see Scott is kind of forcing him into the offense and things like that, which is needed. Because once he hits his stride, hopefully within these next 5 weeks or going into the playoffs, he can be an impact player. Because I just talked about Terry McLaurin with his 4.35 speed. If Curtis Samuel is anywhere near 100%, he's even faster. And he can give you that deep threat, that over the top threat, and he can take some of the attention away from Terry. So hopefully Curtis Samuel can get those legs up under him, get that groin up under him. But I'm liking the potential that I'm seeing, and I'm liking that he's on the field. I'm liking that he's on the field. That's all that you can ask for at this point. Our offensive line struggled today, which was crazy. This has been our best unit on the team this far. Most underrated at the very least, are most underrated, most unheralded, but they struggle. Oakland, the Raiders, were getting constant pressure. I just mentioned Yannick Ngakoue, him and Max Crosby were beating our tackles a little bit. We were giving up a little bit of interior pressure. I don't know if that was all due to Keith Ishmael being inserted in his first start in the NFL. But honestly, and like I said, I don't want to rain on the parade too much, but I'm not going to shed any tears, and I can't wait for the day that Brandon Scherff is off this team. Not to hold you, to be 100% honest with you, I can't wait for the day that Brandon Scherff is off this team. And it's not that he's a bad player by any means, but he's not giving you what he should be giving you at $18 million for a guard. Shout out to Jay Gruden. Like, it's ridiculous. He has another crucial penalty today. He's missing guys in the open field on screen plays and things like that. He's not an $18 million guard. If you're paying a guard $18 million, he better be the best damn guard in the league. And Brandon Scherff isn't that. He isn't even the best guard on his football team. That title goes to Eric Flowers right now. Because Eric Flowers is a damn dog. Moving guys in the pass and the run game. Go watch the film if you think I'm lying. He came in there hobbled today and was still moving guys in the run game. So that's it for the offense. But that defense balled out today. I don't know if it was their best performance of the season, but it's in the top 3, I'll tell you that. Kendall Fuller might have had his best game of the season with 8 tackles. 8 tackles, and he's back to sniffing out all the short routes. He's back to being that man that, hey, you might as well not even run a screen pass around Kendall Fuller. All those short hitches and things like that, you better be careful. Phillip might jump it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the communication and him not feeling the need to make up for Landon Collins playing deep in the secondary and things like that. I think that's where a lot of his issues were coming early in this year, was he was thinking a lot and trying to make up for a lot with his limited athletic profile. Because if you look at a guy like Kendall Fuller, he's a tremendous football player. But if you look at his athletic profile, he probably has a below average athletic profile for an NFL quarterback. But he makes up for it with his technique. He has impeccable footwork, and he has impeccable eyes. Those are the three reasons why he's able to sniff out these screen passes, why he's able to sniff out these short hitches and things like that. And, hey, 8 tackles. Hey, he bought his lunch pail to work today. Another guy that balled out, Cole Holcomb, balled out. I think he had 10 total tackles, and he had a great all-around game. One play that sticks out to my mind was the play on the ball that he made on Foster Monroe, tracking him all the way across the field. All the way on a crosser route where Derek Carr put the throw on the money, and Cole Holcomb played the hands, raked the ball out for an incompletion. That's all pro play right there. That's the play we're looking for consistently from Cole Holcomb because he makes those flashes week in and week out. Now, if he can just get it on a whole game basis, Cole Holcomb can be a player. Because right now, he's severely outshining your first-round pick in Jamin Davis. Speaking of Jamin Davis, when Jamin Davis hits, oh, it's beautiful. Because he's a physical specimen. He comes with the force. This guy is 6'3", 230 pounds, coming to you with 4.4 speed. It looks beautiful. But that's when he makes the hit. Too many times, Jamin Davis has bad eyes. Too many times he's a liability in coverage. Too many times he's taking false steps in the run game because he can't tell which hole the running back is tracking. He can't track the running back in the backfield. But he does make flash plays. We could have did so much more with the 19th pick. And I'm not going to write him off yet, but it just is what it is. It is what it is at this point. Hopefully he can improve. Because like I said, he does flash. But if we get a little bit more flash or a little more substance in this game, then maybe he can show that he was worth that 19th pick. Just keeping in line with the defense. Matt Ioannidis was in 2019 form today. Oh my God. Matt Ioannidis, what has gotten into you? And I said that you was in 2019 form because if you guys remember, he was easily our best defensive lineman in 2019. Leading the team and leading all defensive linemen in sacks that year. Then he suffered a pec injury in week 2 last year against the Arizona Cardinals. And I haven't really necessarily seen him be the same player since until today. Now, I don't know if a lot of it has to do with him going up against Alex Leatherwood for the Raiders, who's straight trash, who's straight garbage. But Matt Ioannidis was the best defensive lineman on the field today. Constant interior pressure. He even had a sack on Derek Carr. I was kind of upset he ain't do his backpack. He ain't do his backpack dance. Why you ain't give me the backpack, Matt? I haven't seen that since 2019. Why you ain't give me the backpack, Matt? Come on, Matty Ice. Matty I. But that was one of my favorite things to see throughout the game because if we could get Matt Ioannidis back to the Pro Bowl talent that he was in 2019, to compare with the All-Pro play of Jonathan Allen this season and the Pro Bowl play of Deron Payne this season, oh my God. Oh my Lord. Now we're talking about the defensive line that we were hoping and dreaming we were going to be, or we were guaranteed to be going into the season. James Smith-Williams has a sack today. He now has more sacks than Chase Young on the season. But I'm going to just sip my tea. A la Kermit style. I'm going to just say that one more time. James Smith-Williams now has more sacks than Chase Young on the season. Sips tea. If you're listening to me on the podcast, that was just me sipping my tea. A la Kermit the Frog. Because this defense has played a lot more discipline since Montez and Chase haven't been in. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. We've had a lot more pressure since these guys have been missing. And I don't think that it's a coincidence. And I don't think it's because that the guys we're replacing them with are necessarily more talented. But they can be easily coached. They're more disciplined. They're more mature. They're more about the team. And you see it. And you see it. And you see it. I made a tweet today. I said we can talk about all the player changes, all the schematic changes and things like that. What it boils down to about this defense is that they care more. You see guys pursuing after the ball. You see guys making plays downfield. You see linemen making plays downfield. It's a beautiful thing to watch. William Jackson III had another quiet game, which is a good thing for a corner after holding DK Metcalf in solitary confinement all last week. Oh, my God. William Jackson III has become the player that we bought him in to be, the number one corner that we bought him in to be over the course of these last 4 games. I didn't touch on it as much in the group chat pod, but he had DK Metcalf in solitary confinement. That boy was locked up. They wouldn't let him out. And to end it all, these safeties. Cam Curl is Cam Curl. He's going ball. We know that. I told y'all 2 weeks ago that Cam Curl was one of the best safeties in the league after his play on Christian McCaffrey. Logan Thomas told you last week, because we're always first. We're always first on it at Bleeding BnG. Might as well call me Stunadamus. But, Logan Thomas told you last week in his press conference after the Seattle game that Cam Curl was a top 5 safety. So at this point, it's death taxes and Cam Curl making plays. So I don't even want to touch on Cam Curl too much because we know he's a dog. But DeShazier Everett, when he gets a chance to play, he just kills people, bro. Easily the hardest hitter on the team, and it's crazy because this guy was a cornerback in college at Texas A&M. What cornerbacks are hitting like that? He put Kenyon Drake. I know Kenyon Drake hates seeing DeShazier Everett. I think DeShazier Everett got a few good licks on him when they played the Cardinals last season. He put Kenyon Drake out for the game again. He has Kenyon Drake on Twitter crying now, "Oh, these are illegal." No, you just got popped, my boy. You just got smacked, my boy. That's all that was. I think that Bobby McCain played his best game as a Washington football team member. That was a tremendous play on the ball, the last play of the game, where Derek Carr went deep. No, it wasn't a pass interference. Both guys were making a play on the ball. I don't want to hear about it. No discussion. And Brian Johnson, our kicker. This is your swan song, my boy. That man has ice in his veins. Bought in on a short week, midweek off the practice squad to nail a 49-yard game-winning kick. And one of the most important games for your team in this season, ice in your veins, man. Sign that man to a lifetime contract. Because guess what? Dustin Hopkins wouldn't have did it. A lot of y'all were crying, "Oh, Dustin," when Chris Blue was having his struggles. Let me hear you crying for Dustin now. Shout out to Brian Johnson. That man had ice in his veins. So that's it for another episode of the Bleeding BnG podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, always remember to subscribe, to like, to comment. Please leave a comment. Please interact with us. Chat it up with us because we always make sure to reply to get back to you because we love the interaction with all of our supporters, all of our fans, and things like that. Please check us out on our social media. Our Instagram is @BleedingBnG. That's BLEEDING, BNG. Our Twitter is @BleedingBnG. The handle is spelled a tad bit differently. That's BLEEDINBNG. Remember, we're on all podcast platforms at this point. But if you're checking us out on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please leave a rating and please review. It takes a couple of seconds, but it's good for our business. It finesses the algorithms, and it makes sure that when you're looking for anything Washington football team related, Washington football team content related, that Bleeding BnG is at the top when you do things like rate, review, especially on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you love this content and you love Bleeding BnG, check out those social medias, rate and review on our podcast platforms, And please make sure to subscribe, like, and comment our videos on YouTube. I appreciate all you guys' support. It's good vibes all around. Connect 4 in a row. It's Dallas week. We want Dallas. We want Dallas. I'll check in with you guys next